Bitcoin dipping on the daily chart right here. A lot of people concerned in this video. I'm going to break down exactly why I am not concerned about the move. And I'm going to just show you straight up on the chart what is actually happening right now. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. This is Bitcoin on the daily. I'm going to dive into short-term technical analysis on this daily Bitcoin chart. We're going to talk about targets, all of that good stuff. But I just want to zoom out. And I want to show you something because this will be clarifying, I think, for a lot of people. This is zoomed out on the monthly. We do this so often. We zoom out in the monthly, but I'm going to give you specific data points that is just like very eye-opening. I'm going to go to the weekly. And what I want to do is I want to go to the weekly back here in 2012. This is Bitcoin halving 2012. From all-time high in 2011 through the bear market, all of this structure and bottom formation into the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin was down at the Bitcoin halving around 66%. 66%, still down. We go to the next cycle. We look at Bitcoin all-time high at 2013 area, all through the bear market, the bottoming out structure, all of that. And then we get to the 2016 Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin down 45% from all-time high at that Bitcoin halving. Now we go to the next cycle and we go to 2017 bull market high, and we go through all the bear market, all of that. Bitcoin at the 2020 halving, Bitcoin down around 54%. Now we go to the cycle that we're in right now. Bitcoin from all-time high after the bear market that we just survived and we went through, Bitcoin all-time high, only away from all-time high, around 8%. And here's the crazy part. Bitcoin has already broken all-time high. Bitcoin is at this area of all-time high resistance, obviously. And to have some type of consolidation moments at such a massive price area is incredibly normal, whether it's on a zoomed out weekly chart like this, or even on a zoomed in chart. To have resistance at a previous area high is just normal. So that just gives some zoomed out clarity on actually how far ahead Bitcoin is this cycle. It is so far ahead compared to previous cycles. And I really genuinely think a lot of people are forgetting that. You go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, a lot of people when it comes to altcoins are really wanting altcoin season. And it historically has been true. Altcoin season doesn't happen until somewhere over here. And that's post Bitcoin halving, months after Bitcoin halving. Altcoin video will be a different video. I want to stick with Bitcoin right now. But if we go back to the Bitcoin weekly chart, you can really get a very clear sense of, wow, this is very much on track, and maybe even consolidation is a good thing. And then if we go and we look at the monthly oscillator or the weekly oscillator, the momentum oscillator, the RSI, the slower moving one right in the middle of the screen, then we're going to look at the daily chart. If you look at where it is right now, this downside that we're seeing back below overbought, I really think this is a good thing, especially considering, as I do this video, Bitcoin halving hasn't even happened yet. If we go back to previous cycles, where was the RSI before that really bullish, crazy, parabolic move happened for Bitcoin? The RSI was below overbought, obviously. And if you're going to look within a bull market, right? We can go back to the 2017 bull market. You can see along the way, even after Bitcoin broke the bull market doors post Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin had these consolidations that were necessary. And you can see on the RSI, Bitcoin falling below the overbought area. So the fact that Bitcoin's cooling down, like we see it cooling down right now, I think is an incredibly healthy and good thing for Bitcoin. This is, especially if you're a long-term holder, this shouldn't be a sprint. We really do need to pace ourselves. And I say a lot, people have been spoiled this cycle. People think that we are in kind of this territory, right? This should be happening right now. All of that all-time high parabolic craziness. Bitcoin halving hasn't even happened yet. And I'm just going to keep saying this. That just is what it is. Bitcoin is way ahead of itself compared to other cycles. Now, if we dig into the charts on the daily, let's talk about the move that's going on. Whether we're in the middle of a bear market, in the middle of a bull market, whether we're at all-time high area, whether we're at all-time low area, this structure that's playing out, this is structure. And this is exactly why I do technical analysis, because it allows us to put aside the narratives of what's going on. It allows us to put aside everything and just look at the setup, because these setups throughout the years, as I've been doing these YouTube videos, have been so consistent and so sound in delivering, for me, just a really nice visualization of what could potentially be next. So let's dig into what is actually occurring here. It is incredibly normal. I want to take a really quick clip from 8 days ago. Bitcoin is actually breaking to the upside out of that triangle. Check this out. That's what I'm watching. I'm not talking too much about downside, although in my mind, as I look at this chart, it is there. There is downside in play. It sounds crazy as Bitcoin's breaking to the upside, but again, how does a daily candle close out of the symmetrical triangle? Does Bitcoin even break this resistance, or is it getting rejected coming back into the apex? Then we have to start talking about, can support hold at the lower trend line of the symmetrical triangle? It could be a week from now, and Bitcoin could be testing the lower trend line, and we could be talking about revisiting all the way down here, the apex of that rising wedge. Now, this is before, and this is just really helpful context to the story we've been tracking on the Zoomed In. This was before we had this mass fear event over the weekend, and you can see what happened. Bitcoin did not break to the upside. It pretty much failed, all in that area we were discussing, fell back into the apex, and an event, a high fear event, that is war, which is incredibly sad that this is even happening. This triggered a move for Bitcoin. We fell into the apex, we broke the lower trend line, and guess what? Just as we were potentially preparing for in this video, we are talking about the move to the downside. That's very much what's happening right now. But that was before we even had what had transpired happen. And that's because the move, whether anything is happening or not, the move is normal. This is a very technical analysis move. So if we look at this right now, what do we see? There's two things that I see. Number one is obviously the target in the lower 50s. That's just in play. And I want to mention, if we zoom out on the daily chart, this is just, again, this is where the technical move just becomes very normal. We have this rising wedge, broke out in February, talk about this a lot. This would be a throwback to the apex. This happens so often with patterns. And so on the macro, you can see, since this is a massive pattern right there, you can see the $85,000 target still up there. Those things take months. For patterns this big, could take months for those targets to be hit. Maybe we don't get the target being hit until some massive downside. And right now, this is what's in play. So the first thing I obviously see is the target to the downside. That is not to say that Bitcoin will hit that target. There are other things happening on this chart right now. And what I want to mention are two things. The upper trend line of the rising wedge, and right now that is around 59,000. And then the other thing that's happening is this is the top of the bull market doors. This is an area of interest regardless of what structure is here. That's just an area of interest for Bitcoin, around $57,000 to $58,000. If we zoom out on the daily chart, the reason I'm bringing that up is just because if you look back just a couple cycles ago, and this was in 2017, Bitcoin broke the bull market doors, very bullish move, and then just massively fell back to the bull market doors. That's a move it's been in play. And so here we are once again. We've not tested that area yet, but you can see it's very confluent with other areas that we have to the downside. But first things first for me, Bitcoin is very much cooling down on the daily oscillator. You can see it. We're not in oversold, right? So there's still potentially some event that could be in play right now for Bitcoin to the downside, but support along the way is the very first thing I'll be looking for. It's the upper trend line. It's the upper end of the Fibonacci, and Bitcoin maybe continues downside, get a bounce up, then we're falling lower. Maybe we pull back to the trend line. I'm just allowing Bitcoin to consolidate and do its thing. All the while, I will be keeping an eye on the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator. But all these things, everybody, very normal. We'll continue to track to see if we get a pullback or earlier to the apex of the triangle going into halving. Triangle, lower trend line right around, $66,000 or so. So we'll just track Bitcoin. All in all, everybody, I still remain macro bullish on crypto. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.